Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jerry, and today I have my Week 10 picks where I'm going to go through every single Week 10 game and give you my prediction, money line against the spread, as well as a score prediction. And last week, we actually had two perfect predictions. So got the score, well, not perfectly. One was perfect. One was very close. I went over that in the review video, reviewing every Week 9 game. So check those out as well. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into this. Starting off with tonight, Thursday night, Ravens-Bengals. I think this is going to be definitely a win for the Ravens. I guess you could look at it as maybe a trap game with a team like the Bengals where they start off slow as usual, kind of gaining some traction with some big wins in week prior. Maybe they'll be able to do it, but I don't think they'll be able to go into Baltimore. Obviously, Baltimore adds Deontay Johnson to their already stacked offense, but I think this is going to be a high-scoring one. I saw a stat like the Ravens, I think they've hit the over in like almost all their games this year. So I would definitely go over on this one, but I'm going to take them against the spread. I think we're going to have 38-31. Again, I think there's going to be a lot of scoring. So again, covering the spread is what I have. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a 3-point game. The Ravens definitely have been in some shootouts this year, but I got the Ravens 38-31 covering the 5.5 spread. Next, we have the Panthers Giants, where I'm going to have the Panthers cover here, but the Panthers losing 13-7 over the Giants, 17 over the Giants, pardon me. But I think the issue with the Giants is the offense just really never puts it all together. Malik Neighbors was getting used very well early on and was actually number one receiver in the league, and then has just kind of slowly fallen off. And not that he's like falling off like he's bad, but he's just not producing like he was early on, and it's not translating to more points. So although the Giants defense has been pretty good most of the year, I think the Panthers offense, I think this is going to be a really shitty game. I wouldn't recommend watching it. It is, this is the morning game. This is in Munich, Germany. So this is happening, in Sunday morning. And I don't think it's going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be very low scoring. And we kind of screwed over the Germans one last time there. But I'm going to take the Panthers to cover over the Giants. I think technically a game that the Panthers could win. I'm surprised the spread is as large as it is. But I think it's because, the Panthers' most recent win was against the Saints, who look like a very dysfunctional team in the league. And then obviously the Giants haven't been good this year either, but somebody after this is going to make it to 3 wins, and we shall see who that is. I think it's going to be the Giants. Next, we have the Bears Patriots. Feel like an idiot for doing this because I picked the Bears last week against the Cardinals and they get absolutely demolished. It wasn't even close. And I'm probably making the same mistake here. I think 6.5 is way too much. It is at home. Bears get to go back home. They have 3 games in a row that are at home, which they're going to need to string together some wins if they want to keep their hopes alive for the season. I believe they're already at only like a 9% chance of the playoffs. So not looking too good for the Bears, but I think the Patriots have been putting it together, the trying to find themselves on offense. Drake May still casually making mistakes, also able to make big plays. I think he's going to be able to run really well in this game. I think that would be a good bet, is the over on whatever his rushing yards are, because he had 95 in a game prior. Obviously, that's what got him injured. But I think the Bears did very poorly, not even against Kyler Murray. It was more against Jaden Daniels in that game against another rookie, and but they weren't very good at containing him, and Bears have injuries on their defensive line. I do think they're going to win, though, just because the Patriots defense to me has been kind of underwhelming, and I think that the Bears are going to be looking for a week, a get-right week with a very difficult schedule coming up. Also heard Cole Kmet say that they've been feeling a lot better about home games and feel like they do better. So I guess we'll see what happens. I have the Bears winning, but I know very good and well the Patriots could win, so they're covering. But the Bears, I have them winning 24-20. We'll see how that goes. Next, we have the Colts Bills. This is in Indianapolis. I think it's going to be a tough one. Obviously, Joe Flacco coming off of a bad week last week, so it would be easy to, think that they're going to ride that low wave and get demolished. I think it could be a fairly close game against the Bills here, but the Bills have been kind of smashing these lower tier teams. It's in Indy, so I don't know. I guess 11 points is a pretty wide margin, but I do think the Bills are pretty confidently going to win. And I think 3.5 is interesting. I think if Joe Flacco can find his game again, they definitely could keep it closer, but I don't think they'll make it to the 3.5. So I got the Bills winning 28-17. Next, we have the Chiefs Broncos. This one's probably, when I was going through, my biggest surprise. So if you don't already know, when I make these videos, I put up my score prediction and then add the odds, the betting odds after. So, and like the spreads. So I didn't actually know that it was going to be a 7.5, and so the Broncos are going to have to cover against the Chiefs. Now, I don't feel terrible about that because there's been a lot of games that the Chiefs are probably closer than they should have been, and they've been in a lot of close games. So the fact that they keep getting favored by so many points is a bit of a surprise to me, especially with the Broncos. Obviously not last week, but in weeks prior, looking a lot better. So I think if their defense can slow down this newly revised Chiefs offense, and Bo Nix can just not make too many mistakes, I think they can stay in the game. But I think the Chiefs win 24-17. Next, we have the Saints Falcons. I think the Saints are an absolute mess, but I think the Falcons defense is kind of underwhelming. So I think they could allow 21 points to the Saints. 3.5 at home in the Superdome. I don't know. It's interesting to me. I kind of thought it would be more, honestly. And that's why I have the Falcons winning by 10. They've been a very sneaky good team. In my review video, I mentioned that was like my main point, is they're just a very sneaky 6-3. You've got a divisional game, a game that the Saints want to win. But, they blew it last week against the Panthers, so I don't think they have much of a chance against the Falcons. I don't know where they're getting their 3.5 from, but I will take the Falcons in this one very easily, winning 31-21. Next, we have the Buccaneers 49ers. And honestly, for me, this is maybe the most lock of lock for, plus 6.5. I guess, it just seems odd after, how poorly the 49ers have been playing. They think they're going to get McCaffrey back. That could be game changing. Yes. But if he's not fully healthy, I don't think he's going to be able to have as much of an impact as, if he was fully healthy, obviously. And the Buccaneers went to overtime last week against the Chiefs. So obviously against a very good team in the Chiefs, even without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, I think they showed that they can stay in these games. So I thought 6.5 was way too much, and it's in Tampa Bay. So I've got the Buccaneers covering this one big time. That one just seems too easy for me, but still losing to the 49ers. I think they could win this game, though. But against the 49ers winning 24-20. Next, we have Commanders Steelers. This was a tough one for me. I ultimately think that the Steelers, their offense has looked a lot better with Russell Wilson. And as far as their defense goes, their defense only gets better in getting Preston Smith. At least having, more room as far as depth goes on the defensive line. And I just think their defense is a lot better than the Commanders. And the Commanders showed that if they play against a good defense, in the case of the Bears game, obviously very poor ending, on defense. But the Bears held them to 12 points, 4 field goals the whole game. And then it took a very lucky Hail Mary at the end to even make it to 18. So I think the Steelers have a very good defense as well, but the Commanders do look difficult to stop sometimes and typically end up getting a few field goals. But I also think the Steelers have been able to drive down the field well. They get Mike Williams. Don't know how much involvement he would have, if any. But I think the Russell Wilson to George Pickens game is going to be incredible. And I think also you have to remember, the Commanders did just get Marshawn Lattimore, so we'll see how he's involved. That would obviously help shut down Pickens. We'll have to see where that's at. But I have the Steelers winning this one 27-23, and they're not even favored. It is in Washington, so I guess that would be the reason they wouldn't be. But you can get 2.5 points on the Steelers, and I really like that one, so I'm taking the Steelers. Next, we have Jaguars-Vikings. This is another one where the Vikings, although they were kind of this high-scoring powerhouse early on, they've really relied on their defense a lot more. So I think the Jaguars could have, they could be in this one. 21 seems like a lot of points, especially with how poorly the Jaguars played last week. They ended up putting up a decent amount of points, even in a pretty poor offensive performance. And that's why I think the Jaguars will struggle. I think I've also been hearing that they're not sure if Trevor Lawrence is going to play. So that might be why my pick could be really bad, and this could be a very easy Vikings win. But the Vikings have kind of been on this downward spiral, and maybe they'll go into the game thinking, oh, it's just the Jaguars or something. I don't know. I think every week there's kind of an upset, and I don't think the Jaguars are going to be the upset, but I don't see why they couldn't put up 17 or, keep it within 7 of the Vikings. That might be my worst pick though, but every once in a while during the week, during the season, that shit happens. So I got the Jaguars covering the spread 21-24 against the Vikings. Next we have Chargers Titans. This is another one where I kind of talk about the Chargers how I typically talk about the Giants, where the Giants typically allow like 20-ish points to the other team, and even sometimes less, and then they never put up enough points to win the game. And I think the Chargers are kind of the opposite end of that spectrum, where they haven't really gotten a massive high scoring game, but they've always looked fairly efficient on offense and been able to do something aside from a game or two. But I think they might be able to put up 21 points or so. I think the Titans defense is very suspect, and it's very hit or miss week to week. So I guess there I'm just projecting that the Chargers won't be firing the ball down the field, and I don't think they're going to score quickly. I think they're going to play the slow game, and it's going to result in a closer game, especially with the Titans, although not really winning as many games. They've been showing at least the ability to get the ball down the field, including Calvin Ridley. So I have the Chargers winning this one 21-17. I think it's going to be a close one. I think the 7.5 is a little too much, so I think the Titans cover. Next, we have the Cowboys-Eagles. Cowboys just look like they're going to stink, so there's really not much more to it. Cooper Rush is going to play. The Eagles really good last week, although game ended up being pretty close. Just on offense, they did very well all around, and I think it could be the same way with the injuries the Cowboys are dealing with, and specifically on offense, Dak Prescott. So I've definitely got the Eagles winning here. This is an easy win, and covering the spread, be interesting to see if they do that, because they have played down to some opponents and been closer in games than they should have been. I think it could be a bit of a trap game too, going in, Cooper Rush and so many pieces on the defense injured. So I'm going to take the Eagles at 28-17 here, but definitely could be like a trap game if we're looking for a trap game this week. Next, we have the Cardinals Jets. I think the Cardinals, showed last week that they can perform on offense on the Bears, whose defense had been one of the best through the league. They were the only team left that hadn't allowed more than 21 points until the Cardinals came in and scored 29. I think they'll be able to do that the same. The Jets defense hasn't been as good since Saleh left, but I think their offense has been clicking more. So although the Cardinals were able to get pressure last week, I'm interested to see how they can do it again this week. Obviously, they acquire Baron Browning. I don't know if he'll have much of an impact on the game, but I think it could be a little bit higher scoring, especially with the Jets starting to put up more points, and then the Cardinals having a pretty, probably some confidence out of last week. So I have the Jets winning 31-24. And then we have the Texans Lions. This one, the Lions seem like the best team in the league, and it doesn't even seem close at this point. I guess in the NFC, it would be easy to say they're number one. You could maybe, compare to the Chiefs. Obviously, Chiefs are still undefeated. Lions have a loss, but I don't think they'll have a loss in this one. I think just the weapons all around, and the Texans honestly have, with the injuries they've dealt with, have not looked like a great football team. Found ways to win games still, but CJ Stroud kind of been falling off as the year goes on. So I don't think this is going to be a great get-right game for him. I think this one's going to have to rely on Joe Mixon, and obviously the Lions acquired Zadarius Smith, hoping maybe can help in the run game as well as the pass rush. But CJ Stroud has been getting sacked a lot too, so maybe this Lions defensive line, who hasn't been a whole lot since Aiden Hutchinson got injured, maybe they can put some pressure on CJ and hold out for a win. But yeah, I think Texans will using Joe Mixon down the field, using Tank Dell, I think they'll still be able to move the ball down the field, but I don't think they're going to score too often, and I think the Lions are going to score more. So I have them winning 24-17, covering the 3.5 spread in Houston. And then here we have the Rams. I got Rams winning by 3. It just seemed right. The Dolphins have been in all these close games. Rams are finally starting to look a lot better, whether it's Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, and then obviously not last week, but other than that, Puka Nacua has been a weapon this year. And I think the Dolphins will still find ways to put up points. I don't think they're using Tyreek Hill enough, and we'll see if they change that this game. I think if they do, they could win. But I think it's kind of been consistent where he doesn't get used. Even 2 weeks ago, he said, "Oh, Tua's back. You better put me in fantasy." And I want to say he put up like 5 points or something. So I got the Rams winning this one, 27-24, on this little bit of a Rams train, if you will, with their recent little resurgence after getting some of their star receivers back. So I have them winning that one. And that moves us to our all-season record. This is my picks for the year. Best week so far is unfortunately week 6. There's 13-1, and then after that we have 12-4, and a lot of 9 and 10 win weeks, and that is Moneyline. So that's straight up. Which honestly, not super pleased with my record. We're 91-47 throughout the year. Was 9-6 last week, and then against the spread last week I was 7-8. A little bit of an off week, and we're approaching even. Want to keep that one higher. So I can help with the bet situation, because I've not been doing great. So obviously don't take any of my advice. And there's like that number that you're supposed to call for bets or whatever they say. So do that too if you have a problem. And then the better rushing record, I talked about it a little bit last week. I talk about it a little bit every week. Last week, teams were 10-5 when they had the better rushing game. That's determined by basically yards per carry and yards. And then it factors out. It's just something that I come up with, basically. So it is subjective, but it factors out if there was like one big long run that's not factored in to the statistics. So that team is doing a little better than me Moneyline this year, 93-45. I had them for a bit, but I'm down now. So that's going to be it for this video. Stay tuned for the reviewing every week 10, because like I said, and remember some of these scores, because I had a perfect prediction last week. Patriots Titans, I predicted 20-17. It was 20-17. And then the Rams Seahawks game, I predicted 27-20. It went to overtime at 20-20, and the Rams score to go up 26-20. So it was almost identical, very close. So, but that's going to be it. So thank you for watching, and have a great day.